Hello, my name is Manny, and today we'll be going over finding the derivative of a function using the four-step method. So the four-step method explains that the derivative of a function, f prime of x, is equal to the limit, as h approaches 0, of f of x plus h minus f of x all over h. So, what does that mean? Well, what I can start doing first is I can go ahead and find f of x plus h. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll go ahead and plug in x plus h anywhere I see an x into this function, and I have 4x plus h squared plus 5x plus h plus 6. Now I'll go ahead and factor this out, and I get 4x squared plus 2xh plus h squared plus 5x plus h plus 6. Now I can go ahead and distribute this 4 in here and this 5 in here, and I get 4x squared plus 8xh plus 4h squared plus 5x plus 5h plus 6. Cool. I'll go ahead and write that out here. So now I know that f of x plus h is equal to 4x squared plus 8xh plus 4h squared plus 5x plus 5h plus 6. So knowing that, I can do the computation, and I can go ahead and plug these two functions back into this equation right here. So let's go ahead and find f of x plus h minus f of x. So I already know f of x. That they gave me that up here. That's a given. So I'll go ahead and do this. I'll find 4x squared plus 8xh plus 4h squared plus 5x plus 5h plus 6 minus 4x squared plus 5x plus 6. Now, I'll go ahead and distribute this negative into the parentheses, and I'll go ahead and I'll get 4x squared plus 8xh plus 4h squared plus 5x plus 5h plus 6 minus 4x squared plus 5x, oh I'm sorry, that's a negative, minus 6. So let's go ahead and look at the like terms. I see that I have a 4x squared here, and I have a 4x squared here. I have a 5x here, and I have a 5x here. I also have a 6, and I have a 6 here. So knowing that, I can go ahead and cancel those out, and I get left with 8xh plus 4h squared plus 5h, and that's it. So I can go ahead and rewrite that as 4h squared plus 8xh plus 5h. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and divide by h. But before I do that, if you notice right here within this, I have a common factor, which is h. So I can factor that h out, and I get h times 4h plus 8x plus 5. So I'll go ahead and divide this by h. So divide that, 4h plus 8x plus 5, and I'll divide that by h. If I do that, these two h's cancel, and I get left with 4h plus 8x plus 5. So now I got one last thing to do. I got to apply the limit as h approaches 0 of 4h plus 8x plus 5. And if I do that, I'll go ahead and plug 0 in for h, and I get 4 times 0 plus 8x plus 5, and that leaves me with 8x plus 5. So what that tells me is that f prime of x is equal to 8x plus 5. Let's look at another example. This one says, let f of x equal 1 over x plus 1. Find f prime of x using the four-step process. Okay, now remember the four-step process says that f prime of x is equal to the limit as h approaches 0 of f of x plus h minus f of x over h. Let's go ahead and start by finding f of x plus h. So I'll go ahead and plug in x plus h plus 1. But that easily simplifies to 1 over x plus h plus 1. Now let's go and compute the numerator. Now what that says is we're going to go ahead and we're going to do 1 over x plus h plus 1 minus 1 over x plus 1. Now this, we're going to go ahead and actually compute this by finding the greatest common denominator. And we're going to get x plus 1 times x plus h plus 1. And we're going to get x plus h plus 1 minus x plus 1. Now, if you notice, there are common factors right here and right here. So we're going to go ahead and cancel those out. And what we're going to get is just h at the top and x plus 1 times x plus h plus 1. And this is the new numerator. Now, we're going to take that and we're going to divide it by h. But another way of dividing is we can multiply by 1 over h. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to multiply it by 1 over h, which is the exact same thing as dividing by h. So I have h over x plus 1 times x plus h plus 1. And we're going to multiply that by 1 over h. Now there are two h's, and those will go ahead and cancel out. So now we get left with just x plus 1, x plus h plus 1. Now, step 4 of the process says to apply the limit. So now we're going to do the limit as h approaches 0 of x plus 1 times x plus h plus 1. I'm going to plug 0 in, and I'm going to get x plus 1 times x plus 0 plus 1, which is just x plus 1 times x plus 1. And this also simplifies to just x plus 1 squared. Now remember, I forgot to put a 1 at the top, and there is a 1 up here from this equation right here. So this 1 follows us throughout the entire situation. And so our f prime is now 1 over x plus 1 squared.